Honest question here. Do the Leafs even want to win this series? Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and I am here to talk about game number 5 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you can probably tell by my demeanor, if you weren't watching the game, that the Leafs lost this one. They came into tonight with a 3-1 lead in the best-of-7 series, and they had a chance to close it out on home ice. So to talk about this game, let's just start with the simple facts of the goals that were scored in this one. 5 minutes and 46 seconds into the first period, John Tavares has the puck. He goes down the right wall in the offensive zone with it, battling with Sergachev the whole way. He gets the final tap on it down in the right corner, bats it out to the slot. It goes past Matthew Knies to Morgan Rielly. Rielly corrals that puck, and like the wonderful, wonderful person that Morgan Rielly is, he rifles that puck past Andrei Vasilevskiy, glove side. The Leafs are up 1-0. And because we just cannot have anything good, about 25 seconds later, Brandon Hagel breaks into the offensive zone for the Tampa Bay Lightning, doing a little sidestep around Justin Holl, who goes for the hit instead of going for the puck. Justin Holl puts himself out of position for probably the millionth freaking time in this series. But anyway, the puck gets into the offensive zone for the Lightning. Eventually, it makes its way around to Perbix, who takes the shot from near the point. Samsonov makes the initial stop. Rielly and Hagel are crashing the net, poking away at Samsonov. Hagel is pushing his left pad, so Sammy looks over there thinking that's where the puck is, but the puck is to his right. Anthony Rielly finds it first and roofs it over him, making it 1-1. And that is how the two teams go into the first intermission, with this game tied at 1. On to the second. I can't even do this and pretend like I'm enthused. 4 minutes and 23 seconds into the second period, Mikey Eyssimont, who comes back into the lineup for the first time since game 1 when he went out with an injury, skates down to the left wing in the Tampa Bay offensive zone. Once he gets near the goal line, he just takes a simple wrist shot at Ilya Samsonov, who was apparently just reading a book in his brain because he was in no way ready for a shot to come to him, and that puck just slides between his pads, 5-hole from a terrible angle, 2-1 Tampa. Now that's fine. The Leafs are only down 1 goal. What can the Maple Leafs do? A lot. Score goals. Fine. But no, that was the end of the scoring in the second period, so these teams go into the second intermission with the Tampa Bay Lightning fighting for their playoff lives with a 2-1 lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had a chance to close this series out and be done with it. 11 minutes and 53 seconds into the third period, Nicholas Paul takes a shot. It hits a Leaf in front. Nice block, you say, but Sammy's sliding over this way. He gets caught up in David Kampf. He's on his side. The puck, obviously, off of the block, bounces back out to Nick Paul, who takes another shot, and he's got a wide open net to shoot at. He puts the puck in the net. 3-1 Tampa. The Leafs still have about half of a period to try to get 2 goals back. I mean, it's about 8 minutes now to try to do that, but they've done it before in this series. We have seen it happen. And 16 minutes and 26 seconds into the third period, with the goaltender pulled, Auston Matthews gets the Leafs back on the board, 3-2 in favor of Tampa. The Leafs only need 1 goal to tie this thing and potentially send it to overtime, where maybe they can actually win and then end this first round and get out of the first round for the first time since 2004. Yeah, that's right, 19 years since they've been able to do that. But the Leafs don't score another goal, and with about 5 seconds left, Alex Killorn adds an empty netter for the Tampa Bay Lightning, making it 4-2. And this thing is over. It's going to a Game 6 back in Tampa, just exactly what you want to do if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let the Lightning win a game, forcing the series to go back to their home barn where they have had a ton of success, and let them try to get back in the series, evening it up and forcing a Game 7 back in Toronto. Because we all know that's just what is bound to happen, isn't it? Now, you may say, Courtney, the Leafs have won 3 games in a row. It's only 3-2 in the series. The Leafs still hold the series lead. They can end this thing in Tampa and move on. Yeah, you don't really believe that'll happen, do ya? Because I sure don't. Yeah, the Leafs have won 3 games in a row, but tell me, how many of those games should they have won? One of them when they won 7-2? Yeah, that was game 2. This was game 5. Games 3 and 4, they had to tie the thing in the 3rd period, sending it to overtime where they were able to just luck into a win. And yeah, I said in those videos that these are the wins that make a difference. The wins in games where you had no business even being in them. And maybe that's the case if this wasn't the Toronto Maple Leafs we were talking about. I got ahead of myself in those videos for game 3 and 4 when I said that. Because here we are in game 5 in Toronto as the Leafs have a 3-1 series lead. They have the chance to close this thing out, get out of the first round, break all of those narratives. And what do? Well, I can tell you that before Morgan Rielly scored the first goal of the game, the Leafs started fairly slow. For about the first 5 minutes of the first period, it was just Tampa taking it to the Leafs, just going and going and going into the offensive zone, taking shots on Samsonov. Some of them were going wide, missing the net, all of that, but Tampa Bay was controlling the play. But I also tweeted out in the first period that I don't mind the Leafs start to this game because they looked calm. They looked like they were involved in the game. They knew they would have to weather this storm because Tampa was on the brink of elimination. They knew that they weren't just going to roll over and go down easy, and we all knew that they weren't just going to roll over and go down easy. And so that's how the Leafs were playing. At least that's how it seemed to me in those first 5 minutes. Then Morgan Rielly gets the first goal of the game. That's an amazing moment. That could have been a complete changer there. They could have taken over and just run with it. But 25 seconds later, they allow a goal, so this thing is tied again. They allow Tampa to get right back into it and allow them to take some more momentum. And then we just have the Leafs just playing like January hockey. I'm not going to say that they looked as bad in this game 5 as they did in games 3 and 4, but they didn't look like they had any intensity in their game. Once again, we had maybe 2 or 3 shifts during the whole 60 minutes where that first line looked like they were dominant. And that's a line of Calle Järnkrok, Auston Matthews, and William Nylander. Mitch was moved down to the second line with John Tavares and Matthew Knies. And even though Auston Matthews did get a goal in this game to put them within 1 with the goaltender pulled, and Willie was setting up some really great looks and had some nice passes to the front of the net, especially on the power play for Järnkrok, and Andrei Vasilevskiy made some great saves, as Vasi does. They had moments where they were engaged, but for the entirety of the game, you need your big guys to be able to take over and control play for stretches of time. Not just one shift in the first period and then another shift in the third period. Because, let's face it, are the Toronto Maple Leafs a better team than the Tampa Bay Lightning? Throughout the regular season, yes, they were. They finished as the higher seed. That is why they have home ice advantage. The difference here is that this Tampa team, while they have gotten rid of some key pieces and have some new faces in the lineup, the core is still there, and that core won 2 consecutive Stanley Cups. They know how to get things done. Whereas this Maple Leafs team, what have they done other than have great regular seasons? Nothing! And that continues here. Maybe this seems like an overreaction because the Leafs won 3 straight. They were up 3-1 in the series. Now they are up 3-2 still. They still have the series lead. They still have 2 chances to close this thing out. But if we think outside of those rational thoughts, this Toronto Maple Leafs team, what have they done to prove that they are worth believing in, that they can do this? Again, they have great regular seasons. They blew the series last year against Tampa. They choked in this series against Montreal before that. And then you have them losing to Columbus, you have them losing to Washington, you have them losing to Boston a few times. What has this team done to instill you with confidence that they can win one of these next 2 games? Again, rational brain. This is a great Toronto Maple Leafs team on paper. They come into the playoffs. They don't start the playoffs on time in game number 1, and they completely failed to play good hockey in game 1 of the playoffs. Game 2, they come out, they blow Tampa Bay away 7-2. Congratulations. Game 3, they have to tie the game in the final minute of the 3rd period, and then they go to overtime and they win the game. Game number 4, they have to score 3 goals in the 3rd period to tie it up, taking it to overtime, where somehow they win that one too. You could call those gutsy wins, or you could call those lucky wins. The fact of the matter is, for the past 3 games, including this game 5, we have seen the Leafs play with 0 intensity. This is the playoffs. This isn't the middle of an 82-game regular season where you can just take shifts off and you're fine. Maybe them winning those last 2 games by just being able to tie it up in the 3rd period, go to overtime and win, maybe that was the worst thing that could have happened to this team, because now they think, we can just take the first 2 periods off. No big deal. We can come back, we can tie it up, then we can win it in overtime, and then we're good to go. That's not how this works. You were able to get the best of Andrei Vasilevskiy in those 3 games. But this is still Andrei Vasilevskiy, one of the best goaltenders in hockey, and this is still the Tampa Bay Lightning, one of the best teams in hockey. And while the Leafs have been able to be better than them in the regular season, that means nothing because Tampa won 2 straight cups and went to the Stanley Cup final last season, losing to the Colorado Avalanche. Whereas these past 3 seasons, the Leafs have been done in the first round. As much as you may not like the Lightning, as much as you may smack talk the Lightning when your team is up against them in a playoff round, it is still a team that needs to be respected because they have great players, they have that experience, they have that winning culture, and they're not just gonna go down easy. You have to bring your best against them. And if what we have seen so far in this series is the Maple Leafs' best, then they deserve to lose these last 2 games and lose in the first round again. Because you cannot come into the playoffs and play complacent hockey and expect to go anywhere. I'm not upset because the Leafs lost a playoff game. It happens. That's why there are 7 games in a series. And it's great that the Leafs have won 3 so far and they still hold the series lead. So I'm not upset that they lost game 5. What I am upset about is the fact that if they didn't get some lucky bounces in the past 2 games, this could have been an elimination game for the Lightning, because the Leafs simply have not played good enough. The first couple games, you can blame it on the officials, but they only lost 1 of those first couple games, and the officials were very bad in game 1, but they were bad in game number 2, they were bad in game number 3. Game number 4, they weren't so bad. Tonight, they were letting a lot go, but they were letting a lot go on both sides. And so while I found myself getting kind of frustrated when they didn't call some penalties on the Lightning, I had to remind myself that there were also a lot of things they did not call on the Leafs. I think they did a fairly decent job tonight and in Game 4. So we can't blame the officials. The crowd in Toronto, they were cheering for their team. When they were down, they were trying to get chants going to bring some energy back into the building. So we can't blame the atmosphere. All right, so that leaves, we can blame the Lightning or we can blame the Leafs. The Lightning, they didn't do anything you can really be upset about. There was that hit on Giordano, but in the end, Patrick Maroon did get a penalty, even though it wasn't initially on the hit. It was for roughing, I guess, against Auston Matthews. I don't really know, but the Leafs did get a power play out of that, and they got the power play to start the third period when they were down by a goal, and they did nothing with it. But outside of that one hit, there was nothing really egregious that Tampa did. They're not playing dirty in this series, which we have seen from them before in previous series. Against the Leafs last year, maybe you could say so, but in other playoff series as well. They're just simply playing better. They're controlling the puck. They're having sustained offensive zone pressure, and then behind them they have Andrei Vasilevskiy, and he's had holes in him throughout this series, and the Leafs just could not solve that more than twice tonight. So we can't blame the Lightning. So it comes down to our team, the Leafs. They simply have not played well enough. They've only really played well enough to have one win in this series. And again, it's totally okay to be happy about games 3 and 4 because your team won, and sometimes you just need luck in order to advance in the playoffs or to win playoff games. That's totally fine. Be happy about that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But when it becomes a bad thing is when it turns into habits, and this is just what we've seen from the Leafs so far in this postseason. They play complacent hockey for the majority of the 60 minutes, and that is not okay. So that is why I am upset. Not because the Leafs lost a Game 5, which only puts them ahead by one game in the series. Again, they still hold the lead. That is a good thing. But what is not good is what we have seen from them so far, and they are going to have to empty the tanks in Game 6 and really bring their 100% effort so they can possibly close this thing out in Tampa, not let it go to a Game 7 where anything can happen, because this is hockey and sometimes you can be the better team and yet bounces go against you. They cannot let that happen. They have to just finish this thing in Tampa in Game 6, but they are going to have to play a lot better. But that is going to do it for me in this video. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all the places you can find us over there, or down in the description of this video, you will find links to all of our social media profiles. You can follow along on there. But in the meantime, try to get some rest, drink some water. The Leafs play game number 6 on Saturday in Tampa Bay. Let's just hope for the best. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.